Welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're getting into Steve Rusak's The Launchpad Years, specifically Part 7. This part makes a pretty bold claim. Health and well-being, the foundation for everything else. Really crucial stuff, especially if you're, in your 20s or 30s trying to figure things out.
Absolutely. And our goal today, really, is to unpack why. Why is this holistic well-being thing not just like a nice extra, but the actual master key? The key, Rusak argues, to sustainable self-reinvention, to building a life that actually feels fulfilling. We want to see how the book connects these dots.
Okay, so the foundation for everything else. That's a big statement. It's easy to nod along and say, yeah, health is important. But when you're actually in those launchpad years, the pressure, right? Career hustle, relationships, it all feels so urgent. How does the book square that? Does it suggest, backing off the hustle for wellness, or is it more integrated?
That's what's so interesting. Rusak doesn't frame it as a trade-off, not at all. It's presented as a strategic imperative. His point is, without that solid base of well-being, all those other efforts, building a career, relationships, it's like building on, quicksand. It's just not sustainable. He talks about how many high achievers, they might look successful, but they're struggling underneath because their well-being is shaky.
Right.
And this lines up perfectly with models in positive psychology. They define well-being much more broadly than just like feeling happy moment to moment. It includes things like self-acceptance, personal growth, purpose, good relationships. It's the whole picture.
Okay, so if it's that foundational, what does Rusak actually suggest we do? What are the practical steps, the habits to build this?
Yeah, he gets quite specific. He highlights things like mindfulness exercises, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe even just a quick gratitude practice, simple things. Also effective time management techniques. Things like the Pomodoro technique, specifically to cut down on that daily stress grind. And then, crucially, he emphasizes consistent routines. Sleep is a big one. Not just getting enough hours, but focusing on quality, on the sleep cycles for real cognitive benefits. And, of course, mindful nutrition, regular movement. It sounds basic, maybe. But he shows how these profoundly impact energy, mood, focus, all the stuff you actually need for that sustained personal evolution he talks about. It's kind of the secret sauce.
That makes sense. And it brings up this idea of interconnectedness, which seems really central to his argument, how all these different parts of life, career, relationships, even money, are tangled up with well-being. So, how does something specific, say chronic lack of sleep, actually ripple outwards? How does it mess with your job or your relationships?
Exactly. It really underscores that genuine change, real reinvention, has to be holistic. You can't just tweak one area in isolation. Not really.
Yeah.
So that poor sleep example.
Yep.
Low energy, but then maybe that shows up as lower productivity at work, or maybe more irritability, which strains relationships, poorer decisions, maybe even financially. It all connects. But the flip side is true too, right? Improve one thing, like getting better at managing stress.
Right.
And that can free up energy and focus that positively impacts everything else.
Yeah.
Neglect any one pillar, though, and the whole foundation gets wobbly. Lasting change becomes, really difficult. Which does raise a key question. What does a flourishing life, as psychologists call it, actually look like? How do we even define that?
And Rusak helps there, right? He brings in a couple of well-known models to give us a framework. Can you give us the quick rundown on PERMA and RIF's 6 factors?
Sure. So first, there's Dr. Martin Seligman's PERMA model. It's an acronym. P is for positive emotions, cultivating joy, hope, that kind of thing. E is engagement, finding that flow state, being absorbed. R is relationships, positive, supportive connections. M is prophesying, meaning feeling part of something bigger than yourself. And A is accomplishments, that sense of mastery.
Okay, PERMA. Got it.
Then you have Carol Reif's 6-factor model. This one includes autonomy, feeling independent, in control, environmental mastery, feeling like you can manage your life, your environment. Also, personal growth, constantly learning, developing, positive relations again, quality connections, purpose in life, having goals, direction, and finally, self-acceptance, liking yourself, basically.
Wow. Okay, so those give you different lenses to look through.
Exactly. They aren't just academic lists. They're practical ways to think about, okay, where am I thriving? Where might I be falling short? Like if you feel stuck, Reif's model might make you ask, am I actually growing, learning anything new? It makes well-being less fuzzy, more actionable.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for someone listening? It seems clear it's not just about feeling good.
No, it's much deeper. It's about building that really solid, robust foundation so that everything else you're working on, your career, your relationships, your finances, can actually succeed. And not just succeed, but be sustainable and actually bring you that deeper sense of fulfillment Rosak talks about.
Right. So this deep dive leaves us with a pretty pointed question, I think. If you're thinking about making a change, reinventing some part of your life, maybe the very first, most strategic step isn't external at all. Maybe it's investing in that internal master key, your own well-being. So the question for you is, how strong is your foundation right now? What part needs attention first?